Lily stood frozen on the sidewalk, the pastel pink invitation crumpled in her fist, her sister's name glaring up at her in elegant cursive. She wasn't invited, not to the baby shower, not to the celebration of a new life her sister, Claire, was bringing into the world. But the real gut punch came from the text she'd gotten an hour ago from Claire's husband, Mark. "The baby wouldn't exist without you, Lily. You need to know that." What did that even mean? Lily's heart thundered as she stared at the quaint community center across the street, its windows glowing with fairy lights, laughter spilling out into the chilly autumn evening. She could picture Claire inside, radiant and 7 months pregnant, surrounded by friends and family, all cooing over tiny onesies and diaper cakes. Everyone except Lily. She hadn't spoken to Claire in months, not since their last fight, when Claire's words had sliced through her like a blade. "You're too much, Lily. Your life, your choices. It's embarrassing." The memory stung, but Mark's cryptic message burned hotter. Lily shoved the invitation into her pocket and crossed the street, her boots crunching on fallen leaves. She wasn't here to crash the party. She just needed answers. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of vanilla cupcakes and floral perfume. Lily lingered by the entrance, scanning the room. Claire was easy to spot, her auburn hair pinned up, her smile wide but strained, like she was playing a part. Then Lily's eyes landed on Emma, standing in the corner, holding a glass of punch and looking impossibly out of place. Emma, with her soft blonde waves and gentle demeanor, was Claire's best friend and the woman Lily had loved in secret for years. Emma's gaze met Lily's across the crowded room, and for a moment the world stopped. Those blue eyes held a mix of surprise and something deeper, something that made Lily's chest ache. Emma set her glass down and moved toward her, weaving through the pastel-clad guests like she was drawn by a magnet. "Lily." Emma's voice was soft, but it carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken questions. "What are you doing here?" "I got a weird text from Mark," Lily said, her voice low, almost drowned out by the chatter around them. "He said the baby wouldn't exist without me. I need to know why." Emma's face paled, her lips parting as if she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. Before she could respond, Claire's voice cut through the room, sharp and cold. "Lily? What the hell are you doing here?" All eyes turned to Lily, the uninvited guest. She felt the weight of their stares, the judgment she'd faced her whole life in this small Ohio town. Growing up, she'd always been the odd one out, the girl who wore flannel instead of dresses, who kissed girls instead of boys, who never quite fit into her family's perfect picture. Claire, 2 years older, had always been the golden child, the one who married the high school quarterback and followed the script. Lily had chosen a different path, one that led to whispers and sideways glances. "I'm not here to cause trouble," Lily said, holding up her hands. "Mark texted me. Said I needed to know something about the baby." Claire's face twisted, a mix of anger and something else, guilt maybe? "Mark had no right," she snapped, but her voice wavered. She glanced at Emma, who stood frozen, her eyes darting between the sisters. "Claire, maybe we should talk outside," Emma said, her voice calm but firm. She touched Claire's arm, a gesture so gentle it made Lily's heart twist. Emma had always been the peacemaker, the one who smoothed over Claire's sharp edges. But there was something in the way Emma looked at Lily now, something that felt like a secret shared only between them. Reluctantly, Claire nodded, and the 3 women stepped outside into the crisp evening air. The community center's lights cast long shadows on the pavement, and the distant hum of cicadas filled the silence. Lily's pulse raced as she faced her sister, the woman who'd once been her closest ally but now felt like a stranger. "What's going on, Claire?" Lily demanded. "Why would Mark say that about me and the baby?" Claire crossed her arms, her jaw tight. "It's complicated, Lily. You wouldn't understand." "Try me," Lily shot back. "I'm not leaving until I get answers." Emma stepped forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "Lily, it's about me." Lily's breath caught. She turned to Emma, searching her face for clarity. "What do you mean?" Emma's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I'm the reason Claire's pregnant," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm the donor. I gave them my eggs." The world tilted under Lily's feet. Emma, the woman she'd loved since they were teenagers sneaking cigarettes behind the bleachers, had given Claire and Mark the gift of a child. But why hadn't anyone told her? And why did Mark's text make it sound like Lily was part of this? Emma, why didn't you tell me? Lily's voice cracked, betraying the hurt she tried to bury. I wanted to, Emma said, stepping closer. But Claire. She didn't want you involved. She said it would complicate things. Complicate things? Lily's laugh was bitter. You mean because I'm the family screw-up? The lesbian sister who embarrasses you? That's not fair, Claire said, but her voice lacked conviction. She looked away, her hands fidgeting with the hem of her dress. Emma reached out, her fingers brushing Lily's arm. The touch was electric, grounding Lily even as her world spun. Lily, I've always wanted to tell you everything, Emma said. But I was scared. Scared of what it would mean, of how it would change things. Lily's heart pounded. There was something in Emma's voice, a confession that went beyond the baby. But before she could press further, Claire interrupted. This isn't about you, Lily, Claire said, her voice sharp again. This is my family, my life. You don't get to barge in and make it about you. Then why did Mark text me? Lily shot back. Why did he say the baby wouldn't exist without me? Claire's face crumpled, and for the first time, Lily saw something like fear in her sister's eyes. Because, Claire whispered, Emma only agreed to be our donor because of you. Lily's mind reeled, the words hitting her like a tidal wave. Emma had donated her eggs because of her? She stared at Emma, whose face was a mix of resolve and vulnerability, her blue eyes pleading for understanding. The air between them felt charged, heavy with truths that had been buried too long. What do you mean, because of me? Lily asked, her voice barely steady. She wanted to reach out, to grab Emma's hand and demand every detail, but Claire's presence kept her rooted. Emma took a deep breath, her gaze never leaving Lily's. When Claire and Mark were struggling to conceive, they came to me. They'd been trying for years, and the doctors said Claire's eggs weren't viable. They asked if I'd consider being their donor. I said no at first. It felt too big, too permanent. Lily's chest tightened. She could imagine Emma wrestling with that decision, her kind heart torn between helping her best friend and protecting her own boundaries. So what changed? Lily pressed. Emma's lips trembled, and she glanced at Claire, who looked away, her arms still crossed tightly. You, Emma said softly. I overheard you and Claire fighting last year. You were talking about family, about how you felt like you didn't belong. You said you'd give anything to have a family that accepted you, that loved you for who you are. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. Lily's throat burned. She remembered that fight, the way Claire had dismissed her, called her lifestyle a choice, a phase. It had been one of the worst days of her life, leaving her feeling like she'd never be enough for her family. But Emma had heard it all. I told Claire I'd do it, Emma continued, her voice stronger now. I'd donate my eggs, but only if they promised to include you in the baby's life. I wanted you to have a family, Lily. A real one. I thought, maybe this could be a way to bring you and Claire closer. Lily's eyes stung with tears she refused to let fall. She wanted to scream, to laugh, to pull Emma into her arms and never let go. Instead, she turned to Claire, her voice low and dangerous. And you agreed to that? Then why am I standing here uninvited like some kind of outcast? Claire's face flushed and she opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant laughter from the baby shower inside. Finally, Claire said, I didn't think you'd want to come. You've always been so angry, so distant. Angry. Lily's voice rose, drawing the attention of a few passers-by. You pushed me away, Claire. You made me feel like I was less than you because I'm not your perfect suburban wife. And now you're keeping me from a kid who's part of Emma, part of me in some way. It's not like that, Claire snapped, but her voice cracked. I didn't know how to handle this. It's my baby, Lily. Mine and Mark's. Emma's role was supposed to be private. Private. Lily laughed, a harsh broken sound. Mark didn't seem to think so when he texted me. Emma stepped between them, her hands raised. Stop it, both of you. This isn't helping. She turned to Lily, her expression softening. I should have told you myself. I was a coward. I thought Claire would come around, that she'd see how important you are. Lily's heart ached at the sincerity in Emma's voice. She wanted to believe her, to cling to the hope that Emma's feelings mirrored her own. But the weight of Claire's rejection, the years of feeling like an outsider in her own family, held her back. "Let's go somewhere else," Emma said, her voice gentle but firm. "We need to talk, just the three of us, away from all this." Lily hesitated, her eyes flicking to Claire, who looked like she wanted to bolt. But something in Emma's gaze, a quiet strength, made Lily nod. "Fine," she said. "But I'm not letting this go." They ended up at a quiet diner a few blocks away, the kind with sticky vinyl booths and coffee that tasted like burnt dreams. They slid into a corner booth, the neon sign outside casting a soft red glow over their faces. Lily sat across from Claire, with Emma beside her, close enough that their knees brushed under the table. The contact sent a shiver through Lily, a reminder of the feeling she tried to bury. "Start talking," Lily said, her eyes locked on Claire. "Why did Mark text me? What's the real story here?" Claire sighed, her hands twisting a napkin into knots. "Mark. He's been struggling with all of this. He's grateful to Emma, but he knows how much you mean to her. He thought you deserved to know the truth, even if I didn't want you to." "And what's the truth?" Lily pressed, her voice sharp. "That you used Emma to get what you wanted and then shut me out?" "It's not that simple," Claire said, her voice rising. "I wanted a baby. Mark and we've been through so much. Miscarriages, treatments, years of hoping. When Emma offered to help, it felt like a miracle. But I didn't want you involved because I was scared." "Scared of what?" Lily asked, leaning forward. "That I'd ruin your perfect family image?" "No," Claire said, her voice breaking. "Scared that you'd love this baby more than I could. That you'd be better at it than me. You've always been so fearless, Lily. Even when Mom and Dad didn't get you, you never backed down. I envied that." Lily blinked, stunned. She'd spent her whole life thinking Claire had it all together, that she was the one who fit perfectly into their family's expectations. The idea that Claire envied her was absurd. Yet the raw honesty in her sister's eyes was undeniable. Emma reached for Lily's hand under the table, her fingers warm and steady. "Lily, I did this for you," she said softly. "But I also did it for Claire. I thought it could heal something between you two. I was wrong to keep it from you." Lily's throat tightened. She wanted to stay angry, to hold on to the hurt that had defined her for so long. But Emma's touch, her voice, her unwavering belief in Lily's word cracked something open inside her. "I need time," Lily said finally, pulling her hand away. "This is a lot." Emma nodded, her eyes full of understanding. "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." As they left the diner, the night air cool against Lily's skin, she felt the weight of Emma's words settle in her chest. For the first time in years, she didn't feel alone. But the road ahead was uncertain, and the truth about the baby and her place in this fractured family was only beginning to unravel. The next few weeks were a blur of restless nights and unanswered questions. Lily threw herself into her work at the local bookstore, shelving novels and ringing up customers with a forced smile. But every quiet moment brought her back to that night at the diner, to Emma's hand in hers, to Claire's confession. She couldn't shake the image of Emma's face, the way her eyes had held so much hope and fear all at once. Lily hadn't spoken to Claire since, but Emma had texted her almost daily, small, tentative messages like "thinking of you" or "can we talk soon?" Each one felt like a lifeline, pulling Lily toward something she wasn't sure she was ready to face. She'd loved Emma for so long, always from a distance, always believing it was one-sided. Now, knowing Emma had made such a monumental decision because of her, Lily felt both exhilarated and terrified. One rainy afternoon, as Lily was closing up the bookstore, Emma appeared at the door, her umbrella dripping onto the mat. Her blonde hair was damp, curling against her cheeks, and her cardigan clung to her shoulders. She looked nervous but determined, like she'd been rehearsing what to say. "Can we talk?" Emma asked, her voice soft but steady. "Somewhere private?" Lily nodded, her heart racing. She locked the store and led Emma to the back room, where stacks of unsorted books created a cozy, cluttered sanctuary. The rain pattered against the windows, a soft rhythm that filled the silence as they sat on a worn couch. "I've been trying to give you space," Emma said, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "But I can't stop thinking about you, Lily. About what I did, about what it means." Lily's chest tightened. "Why didn't you tell me how you felt?" she asked, her voice raw. All these years I thought you were just Claire's friend. That I was invisible to you. Emma's eyes widened and she leaned forward, her hands clasped tightly. Invisible? Lily, you've never been invisible to me. You're the bravest person I know. The way you live so unapologetically. The way you love so fiercely, it's everything I've always admired. Lily's breath hitched. She'd spent so long hiding her feelings, convinced Emma could never reciprocate. But now, hearing those words, she felt the walls she'd built start to crumble. Then why didn't you say anything? Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Why let me think I was alone in this? Emma's eyes filled with tears. Because I was scared. Scared of losing Claire, of losing you. I thought if I stayed quiet I could keep everyone safe. But when Claire asked me to be their donor, I saw a chance to do something for you. To give you a family, even if it wasn't the way I dreamed. The way you dreamed? Lily echoed, her heart pounding. Emma's cheeks flushed and she looked down, her fingers twisting together. I've loved you for years, Lily. But I didn't think you'd ever feel the same. You're so vibrant, so alive. I'm just me. Lily laughed, a soft, incredulous sound. Just you? Emma, you're everything. You're the one who makes everyone feel seen, who holds everything together. I've been in love with you since we were kids. The confession hung in the air, heavy and electric. Emma's eyes met Lily's, and for a moment, neither of them moved. Then slowly Emma reached for Lily's hand, her touch tentative but warm. What do we do now? She asked, her voice trembling with hope. Lily didn't have an answer, not yet. But she squeezed Emma's hand, letting the warmth of it ground her. We figure it out, she said. Together. Their moment was interrupted by a sharp knock at the door. Lily's heart sank as she opened it to find Claire, her face pale and her eyes red-rimmed. She looked like she hadn't slept in days, her usual poise replaced by raw vulnerability. I need to talk to you, Claire said, her voice shaking. Both of you. They moved to a nearby coffee shop, the three of them sitting in a tense triangle at a corner table. Claire clutched her coffee mug like it was an anchor, her knuckles white. I owe you both an apology, she said, her voice low. I've been awful. To you, Lily, especially. I didn't know how to deal with my own fears, so I pushed you away. Lily crossed her arms, her guard still up. Why now, Claire? Why are you suddenly sorry? Because I'm losing everything, Claire said, her voice breaking. Mark and I, we're fighting all the time. He thinks I'm wrong to exclude you, and he's right. I was jealous, Lily. Jealous of how close you and Emma are. Of how you live your truth no matter what anyone thinks. I thought if I kept you out of this I could control it. Lily's anger softened just a fraction. She'd never seen Claire so raw, so human. You can't control everything, she said. And you can't keep me out of this baby's life. Not if Emma's part of it. Claire nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. I know. I want you to be part of it, Lily. I want you to be the baby's aunt, to be family. I don't know how to fix this. Emma reached across the table, her hand covering Claire's. We fix it by being honest, she said. All of us. Lily watched the two women, her heart torn between hope and fear. She wanted to believe Claire, to believe they could rebuild what had been broken. But she also knew that her feelings for Emma were no longer a secret, and that changed everything. As they left the coffee shop, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under the streetlights. Emma walked beside Lily, their shoulders brushing, and for the first time, Lily felt like they were on the same side. But the path ahead was still uncertain, and the weight of Claire's apology and the baby's impending arrival loomed large. Winter settled over the small Ohio town, blanketing the streets in snow and casting a quiet hush over Lily's world. She and Emma had been meeting in secret, stealing moments in coffee shops and quiet parks, their conversations a delicate dance of confessions and cautious hope. Each touch, each shared glance, felt like a step toward something real, but the shadow of Claire's pregnancy and the unresolved tension between the sisters hung over them. One evening, as they sat in Emma's car, the heater humming softly, Lily finally asked the question that had been burning inside her. What happens after the baby's born? With us, with Claire, with everything. Emma's hands tightened on the steering wheel, her eyes fixed on the snowflakes melting against the windshield. I don't know, she admitted. I want to be with you, Lily. I've never been surer of anything. But Claire's my best friend and this baby. It's part of me too. I don't know how to balance it all. Lily nodded, her throat tight. She'd spent so long fighting to be seen, to be loved for who she was, that the idea of sharing Emma with Claire, with the baby, felt like a risk she wasn't sure she could take. But Emma's honesty, her willingness to face the messiness of their situation, made Lily want to try. I'm scared too, Lily said, her voice soft. But I'm not running away. Not from you. Emma turned to her, her eyes shining with tears and something brighter hope. She reached for Lily's hand, their fingers intertwining, and for a moment, the world outside the car disappeared. They kissed, tentative at first, then with a hunger that had been building for years. It was a promise, a beginning, but also a reminder of the challenges ahead. The next day, Lily got a call from Mark. His voice was strained, urgent. Lily, it's Claire. She's in the hospital. The baby's coming early. Lily's heart dropped. She grabbed her coat and drove to the hospital, her mind racing. Claire was only 8 months along, too soon for the baby to come. When she arrived, she found Mark in the waiting room, his face pale and his hands shaking. She's in labor, Mark said, his voice hoarse. There were complications. They're doing everything they can. Lily's stomach twisted. Where's Emma? She's with Claire, Mark said. She's been here all night. Lily found Emma in the hallway outside Claire's room, her eyes red from crying. Without a word, Lily pulled her into a hug, holding her tightly as Emma's shoulders shook. She's going to be okay, Lily whispered, though she wasn't sure who she was trying to convince. Hours passed, the hospital's sterile hum a constant backdrop to their anxiety. Finally, a doctor emerged, her face tired but calm. Claire's stable, she said. The baby's in the NICU, but she's strong. A girl. Relief flooded Lily, but it was tinged with fear. She followed Emma into Claire's room, where her sister lay pale and exhausted, her eyes fixed on the ceiling. Claire's gaze softened when she saw Lily, and she reached out a trembling hand. I'm sorry, Claire whispered. For everything. Lily took her hand, her own eyes stinging. We'll figure it out, she said, echoing the words she'd said to Emma. We're family. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of hospital visits and late-night conversations. The baby, named Grace, was a fighter, her tiny body growing stronger each day. Lily and Emma took turns sitting with Claire, helping her navigate the fear and joy of new motherhood. Slowly, the walls between the sisters began to crumble, replaced by a fragile but growing trust. One night, as Lily and Emma sat by Grace's incubator, watching her tiny chest rise and fall, Emma spoke. I want us to be a family, she said, her voice steady. You, me, Claire, Mark, Grace. All of us. Lily looked at her, the woman she loved, and saw a future she'd never dared to imagine. I want that too, she said. But it's not going to be easy. Nothing worth having is, Emma replied, her smile soft but determined. As they left the hospital that night, hand in hand, Lily felt a spark of hope. The road ahead would be messy, full of challenges and old wounds. But for the first time, she believed they could face it together. Spring arrived, painting the town in soft pinks and greens. Grace was home now, a bundle of energy with Emma's blue eyes and a smile that could melt even the hardest hearts. Lily found herself spending more time at Claire and Mark's house, helping with feedings and diaper changes, marveling at how a tiny human could change everything. Claire had softened, her once sharp edges dulled by motherhood and the near loss of Grace. She and Lily were far from perfect, but they were trying. They talked about their childhood, their parents' expectations, the ways they both felt like they had to prove themselves. It wasn't easy, but it was a start. Lily and Emma, meanwhile, were building something new. They'd moved past stolen moments to open affection, holding hands in public and stealing kisses in the kitchen. The town still whispered, but Lily didn't care. She had Emma, and that was enough. One sunny afternoon, they all gathered in Claire's backyard for Grace's first picnic. The air was warm, filled with the scent of blooming lilacs and the sound of Grace's giggles. Lily sat on a blanket, Emma's head resting on her shoulder, while Claire and Mark played with Grace nearby. I never thought we'd get here, Claire said, looking at Lily with a small smile. I'm glad you didn't give up on me. Lily's throat tightened. I almost did, she admitted. But Emma wouldn't let me. Emma squeezed her hand, her eyes bright with love. "You're worth fighting for," she said simply. Mark raised a glass of lemonade, his grin wide. "To family," he said. "All of us." They clinked glasses, the sound ringing out like a promise. Lily looked around at Claire, softer and stronger than she'd ever seen her. At Mark, who'd become an unexpected ally. At Grace, a living miracle. And at Emma, the woman who'd changed everything. She'd come to the baby shower uninvited, an outsider in her own family. But now she was here, surrounded by love, part of something bigger than herself. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the scene, Lily felt a peace she'd never known. She wasn't just the aunt, the sister, the lover, she was home. And the baby, the one who wouldn't exist without her, was the bridge that had brought them all together. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.